Oh my God, I can't be doing this anymore. I can't be doing this anymore. It's the 1st of January 2026. Immediate reaction, breaking news, Enzo Maresca and Chelsea have parted ways, according to Fabrizio Romano. There's only one stance I can take, and that is Blueco out. You've literally left me no other position to take. You've literally left, I have no words. I have no words for this. I have no word. I can't even get the words out of my mouth for what you have done today. You have sacked your own yes man until he couldn't yes any longer. You have literally hired the man that was meant to make this project make sense. Possession-based manager who's going to head coach his way with all of your players and talents and signings that you consistently keep bringing in under your model, under your restrictive policies. And you have even fallen out with him, Egbali. It's an absolute disgrace, Egbali. A disgrace. I want you to disappear. I want you to vanish. I want you out. I couldn't want you out any more than I already do. I hate you. Genuinely, I feel the hatred building within inside me. Clear Lake Capital, the consortium, and Blue Co, the model, the multi-club model, to bring in Liam as your next manager, Liam from Strasbourg, who is for sure not ready for this role, who is for sure a rookie, who is for sure going to be head over heels to be here. But this level of club, the magnitude, the expectation, and the standard that is meant to be here cannot be fulfilled with someone of his lack of experience. And I shouldn't need to say this again, because we've just come from someone who was going on an upward trajectory from Leicester and has been fast-tracked into this job in Maresca and has actually managed to make it work last season and bring you your first season of Champions League qualification, bring you your first trophy and bring you your first Club World Cup. And you're still not grateful with the signings that you give. And you're still trying to make wine from water. And you're still having the audacity and the ego to have no accountability and no reflection and no repercussions for the shit that you've caused and the shit that you've done. The directors are still in a job. It's a disgrace. It tells me that you're complicit as an ownership and you don't think they're doing a bad job, which is a disgrace. You can't look at the amount of money that we put towards this team, the resources that have been allocated, and the lack of quality that is clear, crystal clear when you watch us on the attack. In particular, some of the decisions that get made in wide areas, some of the dribbling ability and the tripping over the ball that we see, the heading ability that we saw from the lap, from that cross, and you look at the quality that you brought in, that you signed for astronomical amounts of money, and there is no accountability, no repercussions, no sackings, no nothing. You just want to play the blame game and brief and tell everybody that the manager is the worst man in the world. He wants to write a book. I couldn't give two shits if he wants to write a book. He should do a Netflix documentary on this shit. That's what he should do. He should do a 90-minute interview. He should go and sit there and speak it all. Speak it all. I want to know exactly what it's like. The micromanaging, walking into the dressing room after games, thinking that you can step into that room and have any sort of say-so on what is done in there when you don't have an absolute inkling of how football works. And it is so obvious to everyone that you don't. You sign 8, 9 players every single summer. Sell 8, 9 players every single summer. 6 months later, players are no longer relevant to the players that came in. 6 months later, they're not relevant. You're looking to loan or you're looking to sell, or their position and their minutes are not clear. They're not understanding and comprehending their role in the side. You want the manager to rotate. That's what's coming out. You want the manager to rotate heavily. This is part of your model. But the quality in behind the starting 11, the 6, 7, 8 key players that we have is not there to rotate. So the drop-off in quality is clear. The individual errors, the ill-discipline, the red cards, all comes from immaturity. All comes from a lack of balance in terms of recruiting in this team. in terms of intangibles, which you have to sometimes get from players that have been there and done it. But you don't seem to understand that. You seem to think that you could just pluck out any player that has a bit of talent, in your opinion, which is skeptical from what I've seen some of these guys that have come in, and it's just going to be plug and play. And they're just going to understand the system and understand each other, and chemistry and cohesion is just going to come out of the sky. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. The only way you can heavily rotate a team, potentially as a Pep and a Man City have done previously, is if you've got an abundance of quality backing up the quality. We do not have quality backing up the quality. So therefore, we have to stick to 13, 14, 15 players, which we cannot do because 3 or 2 of those heavily injury-prone players needed to be managed and needed to be looked after. And the people coming in after that were never going to be on that level. And we were also coming off the Club World Cup. And we were also playing in 4 competitions with some of the crap that you recruited in. And none of them have come in so far and taken us to the next level. And that's damning. That's an indictment of what you've done, how you've recruited, how you've instructed your directors to recruit. But you have no shame. You have no shame to actually look in the mirror and say, hey ho, this is my fault. And that's what I loved about Maresca. Even though he pissed me off sometimes with his inverted fullbacks and his fullbacks drifting into 10 positions, twin 10 positions, and playing tossing over Josh, and not playing Estevan and Palmer together as much as he could have, even though maybe he was managing, their injuries and their knocks, and not knowing how to deal with the 10-man situation. But again, a learning curve after Manchester United, after Brighton. But then figuring it out. Accountability is what Maresca had. If he had nothing else, he had accountability. When he got it wrong, he made it abundantly crystal clear in the press conferences. I should have made this substitution. I should have changed this person in the starting 11. I should have done better with 10 men. Accountability because he actually cared. Because he said verbatim, Chelsea Football Club deserve better than they're getting currently. And how many more managers are you going to fall out with before I start to think you're the problem, as I currently do and will continue to think? You can't fail negotiations with Enrique, fail negotiations with Nagelsmann, fall out with Thomas Tuchel, fall out with Pochettino, who wanted to keep Gallagher and Chalobah, and then you're loaning him out, and then you're bringing him back 6 months later, and you're bringing in Renato Vega, and you're selling him 6 months later, and you're bringing in João Felix, and he's irrelevant 6 months later, and you're bringing in... You lot are the problem. And until you get that through your thick skulls... Blue Co out. I have no problem saying Blue Co out. That is how I feel now. Because this manager was meant to be the long-term manager. This manager was meant to be the head coach that made it all make sense, made it all work out. But it's not working out, is it? Because you've had to get rid of him. Why? Because he's been talking. Why? Because he can't do it any longer. He might have came in with certain regulations and rules, but guess what? Chelsea Football Club have been forever elevating people's trophy cabinets and people's medals at home and people's standards and expectations and possibilities and futures. How many times have a player come in here, they've won a couple trophies thinking they're the big bollocks, and then their life has changed? Same shit's happened to the manager. He's got a taste for winning. And now he knows what that feels like. He doesn't want to let it go. And he wants certain things from you as directors to come in. Yes, every manager will always place some sort of demand on you as directors to bring them this, that, and the third to help them with this team. You're not going to get someone that just sits there, puts up and shuts up, especially when you don't take any accountability. If you were willing to take accountability and to take ownership of every single signing that you made, whether they were working out or they weren't, instead of blaming the manager constantly, blaming everybody else, then it would be fine. But you aren't taking that accountability. You aren't taking that leadership. You aren't facing the cameras. You ain't talking to the microphones, doing the press conferences. If it's working, all hail the ownership and directors. We did it. Akumbaya, akwaba. Yeah? Our shit don't stink. We're the best in the world, best in the business. Everything's going according to plan. When it's not working, it's his fault. It's her fault. It's his fault. How does that make any sense? That's not very team ethic. That's not very good team ethics, is it? There's no I in team, is there? Or is there? I don't know. I can't even spell anymore. My head's hot. I cannot take this any longer. I can't do this any longer. I can't sit here and back this project. This project is a failure. Yeah? You said give them 4 windows. It's now 7 or 8 windows. Failure. We're not looking any stronger. Failure. Some of the players that you've already signed in the attack after selling about 6 or 7, and no, I'm not doing that on purpose for the meme. Sorry. and you brought in 6 or 7, and they're all not looking like they can function and perform for this football club. Let me just go through the players that we've signed. Under Enzo Maresca, so people get a grasp for what we gave this manager, how we backed him in his first window and his second window. After winning 2 trophies, becoming world champions, and we still don't have a front of shirt sponsor. But again, no accountability for what is going on behind the scenes in terms of, are you doing your job? You're raising ticket prices. You're selling off all sorts of madness, right? But you're not able to actually get a front of shirt sponsor, something that every club in the top 4 divisions has. And I'm sure even in the Conference League and the National North League and South League have sponsors. Even AFTV had Wash and Go for Blood Brothers, and you still don't have a front of shirt sponsor, and you have the audacity to blame anybody else for the failings at this football club. We've signed Tosin, Garnacho, Kellyman, Esteval, Gue, Drewsbury Hall, Renato Vega, Caleb Wiley, Jorgensen, and Ensamino, Pedro Neto, João Felix, Mike Penders, Sancho, Delap, Esiguo, Gittins, Hato, João Pedro, Kendry Pires, Mamadou Sarr, and Buonanotte. Apologies if I missed anyone. Just listen to those names and tell me how the hell we are going to win majors with these lot running the shit show that they're running. And they think this is acceptable. They think this is acceptable. The level of delusion for you to think that list is acceptable. How many of those players are interchangeable with a Bournemouth player, with a Clivert, with a Tavernier, interchangeable with a Brighton player, or an Everton player, in Dye? It's like there is no differential between us and what we recruit sometimes and what the mid-table teams recruit. You are asking the manager to bring you Champions League football consistently and challenge for majors in the most competitive league in the world with a bunch of children as his backups to the starters that have been here since Donkey's days. Cucurella was signed under Todd Boehly. Fofana was signed under Todd Boehly. Caicedo was a £100 million midfielder. So was Enzo Fernandez when the automation rule was non-existent, and we could spread the cash out over 10 years. But you can clearly keep seeing they are only willing to invest 10 million per year into a player. Whether that is now a new locking up of the regulation of the rule, which is amortization over 5 years maximum. So whoop-de-doo, every player that we signed recently happens to be at a cut-off point of 50 to 55 million pounds, as opposed to 100 million when it was Mudryk and when it was Enzo and when it was Caicedo, when we could amortize over the 10 years, 10 million per year. You're now in a situation where you're having PSR problems. You can only bring in one when you sell one. You've already spent the billion that was mandatory to spend. This is not a sign and a showing of ambition to spend this amount of money recklessly. You had to spend it. When Roman sold you the club, it was mandatory for you to spend $1 billion within the first 10 years. You've spent it. And we are not a Galactico team. We are not one of the best teams in the world. We cannot expand the stadium easily. You do not have ownership over the pitch. Earls Court is not going to be developed. So the only way for Chelsea to maximize on profits is to make sure they have a front of shirt sponsor, to make sure they are one of the top 2, top 3 best teams on the planet, so we can get maximum revenue coming in from not only the ground and the gate receipts, but also the sponsorships and global fandom and expansion. But you can't do that by being shit, by being mid, by being inconsistent over 38 games, by relying on the odd cup. You guys are way in over your head. You're not even grateful to the one manager that was able to bring you silverware and put you in Champions League football for the first time in your history of ownership so far. And these are the players that you give him. These are the cards that my man has been dealt. Todd Boehly, if you could find the funds to find investors, I would like to see if you were capable of running this ship differently. But until you find that money, this is a collapse. This is absolute collapse. You have to find investors that are going to partner alongside you, and you have to buy this 60% of Clear Lake Capital, whatever it is, 65%, you have to buy them out. You have to buy them out. It's the only way. Or you all have to go. I don't really give a shit which one it is, but something has to change here, because we cannot go anywhere with these lot running our club like like a stock trading market. They're just buying, selling, instability, managers in, out, ego, no accountability. Just a revolving door constantly of different staff, and the same people up here just keep running the show. You don't look outside of Manchester City. You don't look outside of Brighton. You don't look outside of Monaco for your players. You go into a French market, you leave with Badiashile and Desassi when Cherki is there for under the wage limit that you have before Man City get involved. Desiree Doués and all these links. Michael Elise at Crystal Palace, you get taken to court. Ekatike. You're not even getting, these directors, you're not even getting the best under 25 talents on the planet. This is the thing that you guys keep patrolling and portraying. We're getting the best under 25 talents on the planet. No, you're not. Garnacho is not one of the best under 25 talents on the planet. Liam Delap is not one of the best under 25 talents on the planet. Nor is Gittins, who didn't even have a breakout season at Dortmund. Had half a season, system changed, irrelevancy, not a golden boy, not a top goal scorer, not a Haaland or a Sancho, but this is the best talents. This is the best of the best, so you say. It's not. So you're not even doing what you set out to do to the best of your ability. It's a disgrace across the board, and it's on the board now. I'm not interested in who is managing this football club anymore. I'm not going to give this new manager stick, because he's just going to come in with his tail in between his legs, nod his head, do as they say, bring his profile up. We are now a stepping stone club for managers, not just for players. If we'll see how the likes of Cole Palmer and Caicedo and these guys, how much patience they have to continue to keep being surrounded by mediocrity, the Reece Jameses of this world, their whole careers. Like I said, people are getting older, chat. Caicedo's 25, 24, 25. Enzo's 24. Cole Palmer's 24, I think. Reece James is 26. Cucurella's 27. Sanchez is 27. Neto's 26. Tossin's 28. We are not young like that in terms of the starting 11. But when it comes to the bench, 20, 21, 19, 18, 18. Hughes. Georges. Santos's, who I rate. Esteval's, who I rate. But young. So how can you... So if you're not killing the game because your finishers like Garnacho and Delaps and Netos and Gittins, and they're not clinical. João Pedro's, they're not taking shots. And then you get to the 60th minute and everyone's fit. And the manager's in-game management just needs to be on point, guys. And he's bringing on these fucking children. And they're just sometimes going to make the impact and sometimes they're not. That is not how you build consistency. That is not how you build a winning mentality. And it spreads like a disease across the team. Heads start to drop. Cole Palmer on transition. Passes aren't getting perfectly weighted. Heads start to drop. People start to lose patience and faith because they want to win, but they're surrounded by losers or people that aren't ready to win because they're children or they're incomplete. They're still developing. This is not going to work. I'm telling you verbatim now. I'm sorry. After you've just not even been able to stick with your manager, this is not going to work. So heads aren't rolling, but they should be. And I'm done. I am done. And I wish Maresca all the very best. I hope he goes to Man City after Pep or wherever he goes. I hope he kills it. If Enzo Fernandez needs to leave at the end of the season, I hope he leaves. I hope he gets trophies. I hope. Whoever leaves this football club, I really do wish you the very best, because what is going on in here is ridiculous. Falling out with Tuchel, world-class manager. Falling out with Pochettino, meant to be someone that could develop the youth, has done so at Southampton and Tottenham. Still falling out with him because you don't want to let him have any say on who he's keeping to build around in terms of the Chalobahs and Gallaghers. Whether you disagree or not, you've fallen out with him. You've now fallen out with Maresca. I'm done. I'm at loss for words. You fall out with everyone. So I fall out with you. I'm sorry. I do not believe in this shit any longer. I didn't believe in the recruitment before with the directors, but I just wanted an elite director. But these guys are not signing or bringing in an elite director. So now I'm done with them as well. If you're not going to sack these directors, you're not going to step away, leave your ego at the door and walk away from footballing activities that don't concern you, and you can't even pump much more money in because you've already splashed it all. So it is a buy to sell situation, which we already know due to UEFA restrictions. At the very least, if you can't now make sure that you get an elite level director who is not going to squander and waste any more money, whether or not that's on purpose, well, I guess it must be because you guys are happy, right? So it must be on purpose. It must be on purpose that we keep wasting money because we want to buy B, C tier grade talents that we can sell in the future. We're not interested in bringing in the best of the best anymore. Maybe because the wage cap. I don't know. I'm not in the negotiations. All I know is that it's wraps. Finito. We're going into Man City with Willy Caballero in goal. Oh no, in the dugout, yeah? And we're fifth. And God knows where we'll finish. But I don't care where we finish. I'm not interested if we finish fourth, fifth, sixth. It's just Champions League football at the end of the day. We should be thinking about winning majors, winning trophies, Kings of London, Pride of London, world champions. Too much smoke has been blown up their ass for that Club World Cup. Look at the league. Look at consecutively the league finishes. Look at the Champions League. What are you going to do? Are you going to do any damage? 7 defeats at Wembley on the trot. We're staring at irrelevancy, lads and lassies. We're staring it in the face. And these people are culpable and they're complicit. So we're done here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. In a bit, people. Peace.